Your top stories this evening sponsored by Courts Bringing Value Home. AFC warns of confusion, chaos on nomination day at YANA in the absence of clear guidelines from GECOM for nomination day. Vendors complain of skyrocketing costs of living that affects daily sales, say customer spending ability depleting. Turkeyene businessman died from blunt trauma to head, no sign of gunshot wound, police. And Guyana Defense Force commissioned $711.6 million aircraft to boost defense. HGP Nightly News begins now. Good evening to our viewers here in Guyana and online. I am TIANA with the Friday 11th July 2025 edition of the HGP Nightly News. This is what you should know this evening. With just days to go before nomination day, the Alliance for Change is warning of potential chaos at the YANA come nomination day in the absence of official procedures from the Ghana Elections Commission. The party argues that a lack of transparency could lead to confusion among political parties and their supporters. More in this report. With nomination day just days away, the Alliance for Change AFC is once again calling on the Ghana Elections Commission GECOM to clarify the procedures for submitting party lists. AFC leader Naji Hughes on Friday said GECOM has not outlined the process, which is set to take place at the YANA on July 14.
We understand that GECOM is likely to be at that location for midnight on Sunday night. But as you know, there are at least 4 parties camping outside of the YANA. The APNU arrived first, we will follow them, and then ALP, and then Forward Guyana.
Hughes said Guyana's reached a point where every political party must be informed of the procedures at each stage of the electoral process to avoid confusion and disorder. He cautioned that without clear guidance from GECOM, the process could devolve into chaos, with the first party to arrive potentially being given preference.
Therein lies the problem. Because if you don't have a procedure, and everybody is rushing, jumping over the fence, as happened the last time, that's a recipe for chaos.
He emphasized that the presence of large groups of party supporters without proper structure could lead to disorder and potential conflict.
Imagine thousands of persons there in the morning, especially with the APNU and the PPP's contingent literally next to each other in Young Street and Main Street. And if there's no procedure, you're going to have a mad rush towards the YANA.
Hughes noted that while police have erected barricades, without clearly outlined procedures, the barriers could be breached, heightening the risk of disruption.
I think GECOM owes this country, particularly the competitors in this election, the responsibility today to specifically publish what the procedure is.
He also pointed out that the PPPC showed up at YANA claiming to be the second party to arrive, despite no other parties being present at the time. The situation, he believes, highlights the urgency for clear rules.
And so we already have the ingredients for problems. And the last thing this country needs is anything looking like a problem related to elections.
TIANA reporting for the HGP Nightly News. Under an APNU coalition, all households will receive a livable monthly income, helping to reduce inflation and the cost of living, while prioritizing quality of life indicators over GDP and budget size. These were the promises laid out by party's presidential candidate Aubrey Norton during a press conference on Friday.
To keep all households a livable monthly income. 2, bring inflation and the rising cost of living under control. 3, pursue full employment and ensure all full-time workers have a living wage.
That was Aubrey Norton, presidential candidate for the Partnership for National Unity, outlining his party's people-centered development strategy when elected to government come September 2nd, 2025. At a press conference held on Friday, Mr. Norton noted that his party intends to reduce and ultimately end poverty in all forms, particularly food and nutrition poverty. Under an APNU-led government, the party leader emphasized that Guyanese will be able to participate more in the economy, own their own businesses, make investments, as well as being financially sustainable for future generations. He elaborated more on this measure.
In a well-being economy, by moving beyond measuring progress in terms of GDP and the size of national budgets to one that focuses on quality of life indicators.
Norton also promised to guarantee good governance, particularly transparency, accountability, and the rule of law. The party leader also vowed to entrench participatory and inclusionary democracy by allowing the citizens themselves or their representatives to help shape decisions that directly affect them. The seasoned politician also announced other people-centered development strategies.
Expenditure on raising personal and household incomes will amount to no more than 30% of our national budget in the first year, for a total sum of approximately $400 billion in new spending.
The party leader noted a $40 billion on raising the tax-free threshold to $400,000 a month for over 200,000 public and private sector workers and self-employed persons. Mr. Norton also announced an additional $53 billion to increase old age pension from $41,000 to $100,000 a month for 74,000 pensioners. Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
As the prices of food items continue to skyrocket, Nightly News visited Georgetown's commercial zone, the Stabroek Market area, and engaged vendors on the subject and how it is affecting their daily lives. Here is more from Antonio Day.
Nightly News took a visit to the Stabroek Market to find out from vendors both meat and vegetables what are the current prices for commodities, given the constant rising in meat and vegetables in Guyana. One vendor who sells a whole carton of red grapes noted that the initial prices varied from $10,000 to $12,000 per crate, have increased significantly.
Now it's like 16,000. The black one is 18,000, and normally before is 12,000.
The current price for a whole crate of apples is $16,000, while initial prices were $10,000 and $11,500. Food vendors also lamented that the constant spike in these commodities have affected their sales, as the spending abilities of most customers are affected. Another vendor who sells vegetables and ground provisions shares similar views.
The prices for the pumpkin is 400, which in back then it used to be 200, 300. The okra used to be $100 per pound, now the okra is 360. Currently the balanje is 500, the cucumber is 160. The balanje used to be 200, the cucumber used to be 2 for 100.
Ground provisions also witnessed a significant price increase.
The plantain is 260, which used to $100 per pound.
$100 per pound, so it's now $260?
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing applies to the edibles and cassava. A vegetable vendor noted that while the prices have increased, he would try to provide a discount to his customers, given the current financial challenges.
Pop chai, in terms of pop chai, we are bundled for 500. This was like before 300, so it's like it gone up like a 2% on the pop chai.
Boro, which was initially $300, is currently being sold for $500 per parcel. He explained that there are days where prices fluctuate. The prices for tomatoes have also increased.
But tomato was like 300 a pound, now 700 a pound.
Carrots, which initially cost $300 per pack, are now sold at $500. As it relates to the prices for meat, one vendor explained prices have been unstable.
So the price varies.
And that is for all meat or?
No, pork, beef. Sometimes I calculate meat, I come and give it a better price. Right? It will go down.
Pork is currently at $760. I'm Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News at the Stabroek Market.
There is continuous silence from the president as civil society members continue to mount picket action over the non-functioning of the Office of the Commissioner of Information. Here is more from Travis Jace.
There are still no moves by President Irfan Ali to hold the Commissioner of Information, Charles Ramson Sr., accountable for failing to respond to queries and for not submitting reports to Guyana's Parliament. In fact, President Ali was written to by Attorney at Law Christopher Ram on the issue since April 14, 2025, and the President has seemingly ignored that letter. In light of this, members of civil society have once again mounted protest action outside of the office of the President. Attorney at Law Christopher Ram spoke with reporters from the picket line.
Well, we're hoping that the President will take note of citizens asking for information, their constitutional right from him, not only as President, but he has portfolio responsibility for the Access to Information Act. We just cannot believe he would ignore citizens in this disdainful and disrespectful manner.
Civil society members maintain that the Access to Information Act vests constitutional responsibility for the Office of the Commission of Information in the President, and that the non-functioning of the Office of the Commission of Information is of grave concern. Columnist Gabriel Lal chastised the President for referring to the request for information as politically motivated.
The President said, well, I don't tell the Commissioner how to do his job, something to that effect. There comes a time that the President has to intervene and say, you've gone too far, you are breaking the law, because the Access to Information Act of 2011 says that we are entitled to information for transparency and accountability purposes.
The present Commissioner of Information is retired Justice Charles Ramson, and his office is located at his residence on East Street. Here is Frederick Collins of the Transparency Institute of Guyana.
Census results up to now. This has been the conduct of every single government since I'm born. The only time they released information is after the elections. But this time, one would have expected an urgency of this government to release the information for the simple reason that they correctly accused the outgoing government the last time in 2020 of attempting to rig the election barefacedly. Good. So you must now demonstrate to the nation that you are not the same thing.
The civil society members would also like to see legislative reform to decentralize the access to information process. They believe that ministries should be responsible for handling requests rather than a single commissioner. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
We will update you now on the investigation into the death of a Turkeyen businessman who on Thursday armed himself with his father's gun and opened fire indiscriminately.
Police at Turkeyen have now broadened their investigation into the death of 24-year-old Joshua Taylor, now that an autopsy has revealed that the businessman died as a result of blunt force trauma to the head. The autopsy was conducted by government's pathologist Dr. Nihal Singh. Dr. Singh said the blunt force could have been caused either by a fall or a hit. He said the brain was swollen, which could also be caused by the use of drugs. As such, a sample was taken from the body for a toxicology test to be done. Taylor died just after midnight Thursday after a confrontation with police who were called to his Turkeyen home where he was shooting indiscriminately. Reports indicate that the man used his father's firearm to fire shots, and when the police got there, he fired at them and they retaliated. His aunt, Sabrina Taylor, told reporters on Thursday that her nephew used a lot of drugs.
When I telling them, they say, oh, I'm mad, and I this, and I do. I turn and I tell him, I say, tell the father, which is my brother, I say, carry the boy to the institution, which is the rehab place, so he could go and get the injection for calm down his system because he's on high drugs.
Also, according to the police, there were no gunshot wounds on the body of Taylor, nor any sign of strangulation. The police said investigators were told that during the shooting spree, Taylor was attempting to climb an iron gate, which is about 7 feet high. His pants allegedly got hooked on the fence, which caused him to fall off the gate and into the yard of his aunt.
The boy jump my fence, climb up and climb from the old step. And start losing fire on top of the old step, jump inside the yard. Come in the yard, now when he come in the yard, now he kick down the door and come in the part right there in the other section of the shop. Hear what telling you? Show up the blind and start firing shots and they hear what telling you?
Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Guyana's military aviation capacity has been boosted with the addition of a new $711.6 million aircraft. The Guyana Defense Force officially commissioned the TECNAM P-2012 aircraft during a ceremony held Thursday at the Eugene F. Correa International Airport. Here is more. The Guyana Defense Force GDF on Thursday commissioned a $711.6 million TECNAM P-2012 aircraft at his hangar at the Eugene F. Correa International Airport. Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Irfan Ali, in delivering the feature address, emphasized that enhancing the country's aerospace defense capabilities remains a national priority.
Our airspace, with all available technology for the defense, modernization, sovereignty, and security of our country.
Guyana, the president said, is actively investing in its aerospace and national security, with discussions already underway on incorporating satellite technology and other advanced air defense systems. These investments, he said, are essential for safeguarding the country's sovereignty and ensuring national security.
So today, as we commission this aircraft, let us also commission a new mindset, one that says security is not an afterthought, it is a foundation. One that says defense is not a luxury, it is a necessity. One that says sovereignty is not negotiable, it is sacred.
Chief of Defense Staff Brigadier Umar Khan also addressed the gathering, noted that this marked the 6th aircraft acquired by the GDF since 2020, demonstrating steady progress in strengthening the force's aerial capacity.
This facility is not just a building, it is a statement. It says that Guyana is prepared, that our defense force is evolving, and that our skies will be watched and protected, and it will be sure to serve our people.
The newly commissioned TECNAM P-2012 aircraft, registered to represent Mabaruma Township, will support various missions, including humanitarian aid in interland communities. The aircraft was specifically chosen for its ability to handle turbulent weather and land on narrow, remote airstrips across the country's interior. TIANA reporting for the HGP Nightly News. With the aim of bringing youths from all walks of life to express love and passion for God through the creative arts, Rima Creations will be hosting an event titled, quote-unquote, The Voice of the Bride. Antonio Day sat down with organizer and the founder of Rima Creation, Althea Elias, and filed this report.
With her unrelenting love for gospel music and passion for youth ministry, 24-year-old Althea Elias, founder of Rima Creations, will be hosting an event where young people will showcase their talent while spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. During an exclusive interview with Nightly News, the jovial young woman provided details on the event titled The Voice of the Bride, which will be held at Echoes Assembly Church of God on Friday, July 25.
Given the current situation of our nation and so forth, we decided to have this production which tells the story of the struggles of Christians and how we're able to overcome it, and how also we can use our giftings such as worship, dance, arts, and all these different things to combat whatever these struggles we're going through as Christians.
The event, which is slated to be at 7 p.m., is geared at creating an atmosphere for young people to have a closer connection with God, Elias elaborated.
It's an evening of ministry because the writers would have sought God and what he wants to say in this time, prophecies and so forth.
Elias noted that like every young person, she faced trials and tribulations, which motivated her to enhance her relationship with God. Contextually, she gave a background behind the formulation of Rima Creations.
I would normally, like I said, look through sermons and so forth, and I kept hearing this name Rima, 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 and I never understood what it meant, and I decided to check it up, and it meant the spoken word of God.
Elias noted that due to her obedience to God, Rima Creations, which is a business venture, was created to attract more youths to the gospel of Christ. Rumor Creations creates an evangelic space where young people share their testimonies via social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram, detailing what led them to God. Elias noted that these platforms will also be expanded to YouTube as a podcast is in the making to create traction. She happily related that her peers are actually intrigued by these testimonies and are actually encouraged to follow Christianity.
I was surprised to know that persons were actually interested in the videos that we're putting on because they're so lengthy. But it has shown me that when God is in something, he really is in something. So the feedback has been overwhelming.
I'm Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Stay tuned for regional news.
Interested in honoring or paying tribute to a loved one, or just making a loved one feel special? HGP TV offers you all that and more. Air your birthday greetings, death announcements, and wedding anniversaries on HGP TV today. HGP TV offers affordable prices, convenience, and great services. Call us on 220-3660 or email us at sales@hgptv.com.
Good evening and welcome to Friday's edition of the Regional News. I'm Antonio Day. We begin with some news in Trinidad and Tobago. Patriotic Front political leader Michaela Pandey on Thursday called on the United National Congress government to stop bullying those they feel hold differing views from theirs. She made a comment amid what she described as escalating attacks on core democratic institutions, including the president, independent senators, and the judiciary. Pandey joined President Christine Kangaloo, Senate President Wade Mark, and the opposition's People National Movement, along the Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago, in defense of individuals who have been the target of the UNC's criticism in the recent weeks. Kangaloo also had to defend herself in wake of what she claimed were unwarranted attacks from the UNC about her independence, especially as it related to the selection of the independent senators whose partiality was called to account by the UNC. And I quote, with some news in Brazil. Companies worldwide have invested heavily in conservation projects in Brazil to protect the Amazon rainforest in exchange for carbon credits. However, an investigation by Reuters revealed that many of these projects are benefiting landowners and businesses previously fined for illegal deforestation. Analyzing 36 carbon offset projects in the Brazilian Amazon, they found that at least 24 involved parties who had faced penalties from Brazil's environmental agency IBAMA for offenses such as unauthorized logging and false information in timber tracking systems. These findings highlight the ongoing issues related to the illicit timber trade threatening the rainforests. And finally, with some news in the international diaspora. Nigeria's foreign minister said United States was pressuring African countries to accept Venezuelan deportees, some straight out of prison, but Africa's most populous country could not accommodate them due to its own problems. President Donald Trump's administration this week asked 5 African presidents visiting the White House to take in migrants from other countries when deported by the U.S. 2 officials familiar with the discussions told Reuters. Yusuf Tugar, the Nigerian foreign minister, told local channels TV late on Thursday that Nigeria could not accept that. And I quote, "You have to bear in mind that the U.S. is mounting considerable pressure on African countries to accept Venezuelans to be deported from the U.S., some straight out of prison," he said, from Brazil, where he was at the BRICS summit. "It will be difficult for countries like Nigeria to accept Venezuelan prisoners into Nigeria. We have enough problems of our own," noting his nation's 230 million strong population. Thank you all for watching. I am Antonio Day. Do have a great weekend.
AFC warns of confusion, chaos on nomination day at UMANA YANA in the absence of clear guidelines from GECOM for nomination day. Vendors complain of skyrocketing cost of living that affects daily sale, say customer spending ability depleting. Turkeyene businessman died from blunt trauma to head. No sign of gunshot wound, says police. And Guyana Defense Force commissioned $711.6 million aircraft to boost defense. Those are our major headlines. For these stories and more, please go to our website. It's www.hgptv.com. I am Tiana Cole. Thanks for watching.